Yankees win it!
The Yes Network, the home of champions.
Threatening skies overhead, rain in the forecast here at Steinbrenner Field, but the Yankees getting their work in, taking their BP. We expect to have baseball. Jim Leyland in town with the Detroit Tigers, and Johnny Damon's back. Richard Gere's here as well, and Joe Girardi's got work to do. So everything is in order as the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. It's the New York Yankees against the Detroit Tigers in an exhibition game from George Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees Baseball. Along with Ken Singleton, I'm Michael Kay. Well, another week. So a week from today, the Yankees are going to open up against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. But it seems, Kenny, like the Yankees want to start now.
Well, the hitters should be ready. The pitchers maybe one or two more times through the rotation. But spring training games have a tendency to get old about this time of the spring, and the hitters want to play for real. I think the Yankees are ready to go, trying to defend their world title.
All right, now one of the guys that helped them get that title last year, Andy Pettitte, and he's had an odd spring because of rain. There's been a lot of bad weather here. He hasn't faced that many big league players in a big league game. Let's take a look at the effects of the rain on him. On March 7th, he had a simulated game. March 12th, a rain out against Washington, so a bullpen session. March 17th, he actually pitched against the Phillies, 4 innings. And March 22nd, an inter-squad game. So only on March 17th, his only official spring outing. What they want is him to be Andy Pettitte from last year, because that was pretty good, Kenny.
Pretty good, and no rain again today. Andy Pettitte from last year was wonderful. He won 14 games for the Yankees, and he was his veteran presence on the mound. A left-hander who gets the job done in various ways, can strike hitters out, get double plays, and was perfect in the postseason. Andy Pettitte, they're relying on him to have another good season.
All right, let's take a look at the Verizon Fios pitching matchup. Andy Pettitte goes for the Yankees, 14-8, 4.16. Max Scherzer will go for the Tigers. He's 9-11 with a 4.12 ERA. Kenny mentioned that Andy Pettitte was perfect in the postseason. Andy Pettitte closed the division series. He closed the championship series. He closed the World Series. You know what? He's going to open this game next on Yes.
The Cadillac Laurel sales event, featuring the acclaimed CTS sports sedan, a car and drive.
Yes is brought to you in part by your Tri-State Volkswagen dealer. Visit tristatebw.com. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by DirecTV, it'll change your life. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Well, we're hoping that the weather holds up here. Obviously, there is rain in the forecast, gloomy skies overhead, and the game time weather conditions presented by Toyota. 75 degrees in Tampa, and it's cloudy in New York, 46 degrees, and we are expecting thunderstorms here at Steinbrenner Field. Now, Andy Pettitte was scheduled to start this game, but because of the impending rain, they decided to go with Damaso Marte. And they'll take it an inning at a time with some of the short relievers, Kenny, and I guess they didn't want to start Andy up and then shut him down.
Well, if you look at the radar, the rain is coming this way from the Gulf, which is, of course, west of here, but it should be here pretty soon. So I guess they feel they get the relievers in for an inning or two, get their work in, and then Andy Pettitte might be forced underneath to throw on the mound underneath the stadium once again.
And that's exactly what we brought up, because, you've got a situation where he's faced one live team. Here's today's Tigers starting lineup presented by BMW. Austin Jackson in center field, Johnny Damon the DH. Magglio Ordonez had a great spring, he's in right field. Ryan Rayburn at second, Carlos Guillen in left. Brent Dlugosch is the third baseman. Jeff Larish at first, Alex Avila will catch. Ramon Santiago, the shortstop, will bat ninth. Austin Jackson, former Yankee, up against Damaso Marte. Let's do it as the left-hander deals, and there is a strike.
Well, the former Yankee Jackson's had himself a pretty good spring. As you look at Marte, 3 games so far this spring and an elevated ERA.
Breaking ball for a strike. Now, a lot of Yankees during the postseason last year had a lot to do with them getting their 27th championship. Nobody was more valuable. The people might have been as valuable, but nobody was more valuable than Tommaso Marte. This was a guy who did nothing during the season. There was some debate on whether or not to actually have him on the roster. Kenny, he neutralized every left-hander in all 3 series.
It's like something you really didn't expect. It was like Christmas came early during the postseason for the Yankees. And one reason, because Marte was out for most of the year with shoulder inflammation. Really didn't get much of spring training in, and then it took him a while to get back to the big leagues. But when he got to the postseason, he turned into Sandy Koufax.
2-2 count on Austin Jackson. Marte deals. Fouled away, and it reminds me, and I'm sure you remember this as well, Kenny, in 1996, the Yankees were uncertain whether or not to carry Graham Lloyd on the roster, and Graham Lloyd was unbelievable for them, and shut down Ryan Klesko in the World Series was a really big part of what the Yankees did. You need that shutdown lefty out of the bullpen. Joe Girardi will have to make do without Andy Pettitte, who will probably pitch underneath the stands and get his throwing in. So that would mean that only one game in a spring training game, actually, and that was against the Phillies. He's had intra-squad games, check swing, he doesn't go around. He's had, I guess you could say, bullpen sessions, Kenny, and you wonder how that's going to affect him. But everybody I spoke to today said they don't think, because he's a veteran, it will affect him at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because Andy's been through this before. What do we say? It's not his first rodeo.
Swing and a miss. Jackson down on strikes. Let's take a look at the Yankees' defensive alignment. It's brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense. And this is the Yankee defense for opening day. And it's a week from today against Boston. Gardner, Granderson, and Swisher left to right. Rodriguez, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira third to first. Posada behind the plate. And Marte is on the mound. Crowd here at Legends Field, or formerly Legends Field, giving Johnny Damon a standing ovation. First time Damon's been back here at Steinbrenner Field. And he had 4 big years with the Yankees, and obviously you can see that means a lot to him as the crowd stood up and said thank you for the 4 years and thank you for your part in the championship.
Yeah, the Tigers were here last week, and Damon was in the lineup, but that game got rained out. And so far, Johnny's having himself a pretty good spring with the Detroit Tigers hitting .341 this spring, and of course they're relying on him to bring a veteran presence in second spot in the order. You can see what he's done in spring training, almost on base 40% of the time. He usually has those protracted at-bats where he fouls off several pitches, really knows how to make a pitcher work.
Ground ball up the middle, and Cano dives and can't get it, so a base hit for Damon.
His good spring continues. I was talking to Johnny briefly before the game about his new manager, Jimmy Leland. He says he really enjoys playing for him, at least this far into spring training. And Leland, of course, a veteran manager himself, and has been known to be a player's type manager. Jimmy Leland, it's not unusual to see him walking around the field talking to several of his players before a game. And I think one of the things that makes him popular, because he'll talk to the 25th player, he'll talk to the star players on the team, and just let them know how he feels about them that day, even if it's just one sentence, just to say something to each one of his players.
There's Maglio Ordonez, and the pitch is low, 1-0. Also a good spring for Ordonez.
Yeah, the Tigers are really hitting the ball this spring. They didn't hit it well yesterday against the Yankees, as the Yankees won 2-1. But the Tigers have several of their hitters hitting well over 300. Jackson, Damon, and Ordonez, the top 3, well over 300 in the spring.
Right back to Marte falling off the mound, and he throws a lollipop over to Teixeira for the second out. Damon goes to second.
Ball kind of rattled around in his glove a little bit before he got the handle on it, and was able to make the play at first base for the Others. Damon and Jeter renewing acquaintances. Take a look at this pitch. Looked like a cutter in on the hands, and falling back off the mound. Looks to second, decides to go to the get the sure out at first base. It's harder than you think, standing on the mound, walking down the side of the mound, and catching a little topper back to the mound itself.
Here's Ryan Rayburn. And the pitch high.
Yeah, Rayburn might be having the best spring of all the Tiger hitters. Look at that batting average and look at the on-base percentage.
That's Central Park softball league. And a strike.
There might be fans walking into the stadium right now who were expecting Andy Pettitte to be on the mound. They get here and they think they're late, that Marte's already in the game.
Andy's not pitching, guys. And this was a last moment decision because we were stunned when the Yankees took the field and we saw Damaso Marte out there. So we had no idea. And Joe Girardi decided at the last moment to pull the plug. You see him sitting next to the actor Richard Gere there. Maybe it was Richard Gere's decision. Richard is here helping out Joe Girardi managing because the Yankees helped out in an animated film that Richard Gere is a part of, Henry and Me. So since they helped him, he decided to come and help them. He's a huge Yankee fan. And his family is here as well. There's actress Carrie Lowell and his son, I believe his son's name is Homer.
Homer, yeah. I actually met Richard and Homer at the Hall of Fame up at Cooperstown a few years ago.
In that movie, Henry and Me, A-Rod, Teixeira, Sabathia, and Hank Steinbrenner, who plays the voice of his dad, George Steinbrenner. And Bob Shepard's in there as well. And that's going to open in July in Manhattan. Proceeds are going to go to several charities and youth athletic groups throughout the city. So that's why Richard is here as he watches Damaso Marte walk Ryan Rayburn.
Batting fifth in the Tigers lineup, the left fielder, number 9, Carlos Guillen.
I bet it's been a while since Marte's been in a starting role. Might have been an early wake-up call for him, too.
I wonder when they told him. You're right. Here's Carlos Guillen, and there's a strike.
Yeah, Tigers are counting on Guillen to have a bounce-back season. He spent a lot of time on the DL last year. He can be a productive hitter. He's driven in over 100 runs in a season a few years ago for the Detroit Tigers. Switch hitter. He'll predominantly be the designated hitter, but today he's in left field.
He was going to be the left fielder before they signed Johnny Damon, and as you said, he's now going to be the DH. He's moved around, second, third, outfield.
He came up as a shortstop, but he's had a lot of knee problems over the years, and you can see 2007 was his big year.
Swing and a miss, good breaking ball diving down and in at the feet of Carlos Guillen. So Marte in a rare starting role, works out of trouble in the first inning, no runs a hit, and 2 men left. Tigers nothing, and the New York Yankees coming to bat.
Vehicle 80.
And Scherzer supposedly throws a lot of heat. Came over in that big three-way trade from Arizona to Detroit, and they're going to be number 3 in the rotation. But we're yesterday over 10,000 fans to see the Yankees, the world champions.
44 years, and that's the biggest crowd ever.
And they were probably all on I-4 coming back. All in front of you. It turned into the Long Island Expressway, huh?
It was tough. Mariano Rivera warming in the bullpen. I'm trying to figure out, Kenny, why they went this route. Isn't it more important if they got 5 innings in for Andy Pettitte to get those 5 innings in rather than the relievers?
Well, it seems that way, but maybe they don't think they were going to get all 5, and they wanted him to, you know, have his work not interrupted whatsoever, just so he could just, you know, continue to throw, get up to around 100 pitches, whether it's on the mound or in the bullpen. You know, it might not rain at all. Who knows? But I think for them to do this, and both the Yankees and the Tigers scratching their starting pitchers would tell you that's pretty reliable weather report that it is going to rain and pretty soon.
And Nick Johnson, who will do this a lot during the season, over 420 on-base percentage last year, works a walk.
Wasn't it a few years ago a game in Kansas City where Joe Girardi started a reliever because it was supposed to rain? And I can't remember who the starter was supposed to be. Ian Kennedy was supposed to start that game, and Brian Bruni started it instead. So, and that was during the regular season.
There's Mark Teixeira. There's a strike. Now, speaking of Ian Kennedy, it was announced yesterday that he has made the Diamondbacks rotation. And he was part of that big deal as well.
That's why they got him. You know, each one of these teams wants their part of the trade to come through. You know, so that Kennedy has a good spring. He makes the rotation. Of course, the Tigers want to see Austin Jackson get off to a good start as a rookie.
There's a strike. And here's a deal that we've been talking about. Yankees get Curtis Granderson. The Tigers got Scherzer, Jackson, Phil Koch, and Daniel Schlereth. Mark Schlereth, his son. Mark, a former football player and now with ESPN. And the Diamondbacks got Edwin Jackson and Ian Kennedy, who will move right into their rotation. So they got 40% of the rotation in the deal.
And of course, the Yankees are hoping that Curtis Granderson, he's starting to hit the ball. His average is up to 297 here in spring training. So a couple of weeks ago, he was on the interstate. So he's starting to move in the right direction, peaking at the right time, it seems.
Just missed outside.
This is supposed to be the Sunshine State. Well, it hasn't been that way on several occasions this spring. The Yankees have been rained out 3 times. It's not very often you see the lights on in the afternoon in Florida.
Missed outside, count is full. And the 3-2. And Kibler is a little bit of a nibbler as the Yankees have loaded the bases.
I see what you did there. And pitching coach Rick Knapp is after the mound and talking over with the young left-hander whose wake-up call came a little early. He probably had no idea when he got on the buzz in Lakeland he was going to be starting this game.
And against the Yankees lineup. I mean, this is the Yankee lineup, too.
Here he was last year pitching at Double-A Erie. And watching the Yankees make their march towards the World Championship. Like a lot of minor leaguers, I remember watching games when I was in the minor leagues, hoping I'd get to the big leagues one day. And here they are, the guys who were playing in November. Including this guy who had a great November.
6 home runs, 18 runs batted in the 3 series, 2 home runs and 6 ribbies in each series. All of the home runs seemed really, really big. You know, we have an interview with Alex Rodriguez coming up after the game in our preview show, Pride, Power, and Pinstripe, which Kenny was a part of. And I interviewed Alex, and I asked him, of those 6 home runs, which was the biggest one? Which did he think played the biggest role in the Yankees winning a championship? You want to guess?
The one off the camera?
No, he didn't go with that one. That was the one in Philadelphia in the World Series. He said the one off Joe Nathan. He said if we lose that game, he says, then we go back to Minnesota 1-1 and you just don't know what's going to happen. He said, I thought that was pretty big.
Yeah, well, all postseason home runs in tight ball games are big ones. I think I have to agree with him.
Popped up and out of play. And this is how Alex said it. This is on the Pride, Power, and Pinstripes coming up after the game.
The Nathan home run was the biggest because in a 5-game series, you go 1-1, you go to Minnesota. You know, I think Tex said it's the loudest atmosphere he's ever heard. I would have to agree with him. To go there 1-1, the way Pavano threw the ball in Game 3, you don't know if we get a chance to come back home and and play great ball like we do at home. So I think Nathan being down 2 in the ninth, this guy has been like Mariano. I mean, he's been phenomenal the last 5 years.
So that's coming up right after the game. You got to tune in for that. If you're a Yankee fan, it's a must-watch. A lot of interviews with a lot of the players, and we have the roundtable discussion. We always have it's Pride, Power, and Pinstripes right after this game. So tune in and a long interview with Alex. He was very open and very was in a good mood that day. He's in a good mood most days, but you gotta watch that show. 3-1. Line drive, base hit, left center field. Jeter scores. Here comes Nick Johnson. He'll score. It's a 2-run single for Alex Rodriguez, and the Yankees lead 2-0.
Now, what happens as a pitcher, you've been walking people. Eventually, you're going to have to come in with a strike, and falling behind hitters, you're going to pay the price, especially somebody like Alex Rodriguez. There's a pitch low for ball 1. Falls behind, inside with another cutter, ball 2. Alex fouls one off. Ball 3-1, bases loaded. You don't want to be facing Alex Rodriguez in this situation after you walk 2 hitters to load the bases. So the Yankees take a 2-0 lead. Did Alex, by the way, mention he also hit a home run off Pavano?
Didn't mention that.
See, that was a big one too, because the Yankees won that game by a score 2-1. Posada homered in that game as well.
Pitch to Cano is low.
I think it was a 2-1 game. But Pavano pitched well.
That's the whole thing out of my mind. I don't know. I have to look it up.
We can look it up right here. Pavano pitched a pretty good game.
Kibler having a lot of problems out there. A last-minute starter, and he is all over the place, has no command, and when he throws the ball over the plate, he's getting hit. 19 pitches, 13 balls. Lays a strike in there. Breaking ball, he threw on 2-0. Catchers sometimes do that with young pitchers. Slows everything down, gets their mechanics right, because you've got to really be locked in to throw a breaking ball. If he's going to throw a fastball on 2-0, it might go all over the place.
He also might not get the ball back if it's right down the middle.
The 2-1. Another breaking ball, this one high, and he seems to be 3-1 on everybody. So a leadoff single to Jeter, a walk to Johnson, a walk to Teixeira, a 2-run single to Alex Rodriguez. Ball is low. Granderson against the left-hander Nate Robertson yesterday had an RBI double down the right field line. Also hit a ball deep to right to the warning track. So he got some good swings against the left-hander. And that's the big concern with Granderson. Last year he hit just 183 against lefties, and Kevin Long's been working a lot with him. Letting the ball travel, taking it the other way. They keep saying there's a lot of hits out to left field.
Numbers are improving. Michael, I'm sure you remember the night we were in Minnesota when the Yankees swept away the Twins. But I thought the Yankees showed a lot of class because they didn't check out of the hotel. A lot of teams would have checked out of the hotel and sort of said, well, we're going to win this game and go on back to New York or wherever if you're playing the Twins. But the Yankees, you know, showing some respect, stayed overnight. Not to, you know, tick off the Twins or give them any bulletin board fodder, if you will, by saying, well, the Yankees come here, they're checking out a hotel, think they're going to win this game and leave. Well, that's exactly what happened, but they decided to stay overnight, and, well, we had a nice party that night. They had a nice party at the hotel, pretty subdued, but everybody was happy. Jim Leland's not happy. He just took the ball from John Kibler. The Yankees are leading 4-0. They have runners on first and second, still just one out. So the kid departs, will come right back.
Now is absolutely the smartest time to buy a Toyota.
Robbie Weinhart, the new pitcher, deals inside to Nick Swisher. So they go from Kibler to Weinhart. Yankees already up 4-0. Still in the bottom of the first inning. Yankees have runners on first and second. Nick Swisher's had a very, very good spring.
More than 20% of Nick Swisher's at-bats go to a 3-2 count. So about 1 out of every 5, a little bit more, he's worked the pitch to the as far as the count is concerned.
2-1. Outside.
There we go. It's 3-1 now.
That's Robbie Weinhardt's number so far this spring. He doesn't get it to 3-2, but he does work a walk, and the bases are loaded. That is the 4th walk issued to the Yankees this inning.
I don't think some of these relievers were expecting to be in the game this early.
And the count 3-1.
That's been the count du jour to these Yankee hitters. So Gardner should be expecting something towards the middle of the plate. It's up to him to do something with it.
And he dunks that one into center field. Coming on is Austin Jackson. He makes the play. Tagging and coming home to try to score is Cano, and he does. He caught Jackson by surprise. You should not be able to tag on that ball, which is so shallow. But he got Brett Gardner a sac fly out of it and got the Yankees another run. They lead 5-0.
Well, as I said, I talked to Robbie Thompson, the Yankee third base coach, before the game, and he said he's starting to be more aggressive now to get to the point of spring training where games are starting to take on more realistic look as far as the regular season's concerned. And he is, as we know, a very aggressive third base coach. He's looking for you to score runs any way they can. And this is on a short fly ball that Jackson caught on the run, and then the throw is somewhat offline, but Cano scored relatively easy with the Yankees' 5th run.
Here's Derek Jeter. He led off the inning with a single up the middle, and he takes the ball low. The 1-0. 2-0. You talk to veterans of this area, speaking of veterans, there's Mariano still throwing, and they say that this is the worst weather of any spring training they've ever seen.
To go along with a pretty bad winter.
Count 3-0. He walks Jeter on 4 pitches, and the Yankees have reloaded the bases.
Well, Tigers didn't bring the pitchers didn't bring the control with them from Lakeland.
And Rick Knapp again comes out to talk to his pitcher.
Rick Knapp did a very good job last year with the Tigers as their pitching coach. You can look at particularly the breakout season for Justin Verlander, who came very close to winning the Cy Young Award. Led the league in strikeouts and innings pitched. And Verlander is the type of pitcher that any club would like to have as their ace and staff. He'll be their opening day pitcher.
And the Yankees will open their season a week from today. Opening night in Boston. CC Sabathia against Josh Beckett. We'll have it right here on Yes. Excited about that. And Weinhardt really wild low as Nick Johnson skips out of the way. Johnson walked earlier in the inning. And this is the setup. This is the rotation for that series. Sabathia against Beckett, Burnett against Lester, Andy Pettit against John Lackey. Andy Pettit finally pitched in a big league game.
CC recently had an outing where he struck out 8. His best outing of the spring. Pitchers now up around the 100-pitch mark. And that should set them in good stead for opening day. In fact, I was talking to Joe Girardi before the game. He said that CC and Burnett, their next outings would be like tune-ups. They'll only go 3 innings.
1-1. 2-1.
CC's next outing will be Tuesday. He'll pitch against Atlanta over in Orlando. Maybe stop off at Disney World.
Yankees have a split squad game because that night we had that game on
And Sergio Mitre will start against, was it Toronto? Yeah, it's against Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. You know, most times when pitchers are a little wild, at least there's some teasing pitches that hitters might swing at. But they've been all over the place, not even close.
Like that.
Yeah.
So that'll force in a run as Nick Johnson walks for the second time this inning. Coming home with the Yankees' 6th run is Curtis Granderson, and they're up 6-0.
Well, you expect Nick Johnson to draw a lot of base on balls. You know, he's up there 3-1. I think at this point, you just throw fastball, aim for the middle of the plate. They go to the breaking ball, and it's ball 4 and another run for the Yankees. How many walks is he?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 walks.
6 walks, 6 runs. Here's Mark Teixeira. He had one of those walks. This time he bats from the left side with the right-hander Weinhardt in. And a strike. How about that? He's up in the count 0-2. Regular season numbers, Mark Teixeira, good hitter with the bases loaded. 4 grand slams and a .349 average.
That might be the first time this inning they've been back-to-back strikes thrown.
Count 1-2. The 1-2. Still 1-2. And the 1-2. High fly ball, center field. This should finally end the inning. Austin Jackson puts it away for the final out of the inning. Yankees score 6. 3 hits. 6 walks. Bases are left loaded, and Teixeira finally ends.
Dish Network claims they have the same TV as DirecTV for less. Really? What Dish doesn't tell you is that if you're one of the millions who love FX, Hallmark, Animal Planet, or Bravo, you won't get them with Dish Network's basic package. In fact, you won't get any of these 42 channels. With DirecTV's basic package, you get all of these channels and a whole lot more. So don't be fooled by Dish Network. When you compare, DirecTV wins every time.
I'm a stronger person. I'm braver. I doubt myself less.
You get out there and you push yourself. The endurance that's taught me affected all the different aspects of my life.
My favorite thing to do is to run in the rain. And then I come home and my kids are like, Mom, you go.
I run to make myself feel alive.
I love Jackrabbit because everybody in the store knows what they're doing.
They will spend time with you.
They took me seriously and made me feel like an athlete.
As long as you can walk, you can run. I love Jackrabbit. I love it.
Class, pass your test forward.
See what happens when kids go to school with the flu? They can easily pass their germs to everyone in the classroom. To keep them healthy, make sure kids get the seasonal flu vaccine right now and novel H1N1 vaccine when it's available. If they're sick, keep them home and teach them to wash their hands often or use hand sanitizer to reduce the spread of germs. A message from your state and local health departments to know what to do about the flu.
Rain in the forecast, some rain right now. You can see fans bundled up against it as they watch the Yankees put a 6 spot on the board in the bottom of the first inning. Now this game, obviously important. The Yankees want to stop the Tigers right here. A very early enter Sandman as Mariano Rivera will pitch the second inning.
So far this spring, 4 appearances from Mariano. 5 strikeouts in 4 innings. He's given up 2 hits. He's even walked a batter this spring, but no runs. And Mariano gets in here in the second inning. They want to make sure he gets his work in, and he'll face the Tigers here. The Tiger pitchers, by the way, in the bottom half of the first inning threw 53 pitches. They got their work in.
So Mariano, the last man in baseball history that will ever wear number 42. He takes the mound here for the second inning. 42 retired around baseball for Jackie Robinson, but those that had it grandfathered in. Mariano will deal to Lugach. And a strike. That will restore some order to the strike zone with Mariano on the mound.
Yeah. That familiar delivery, which he repeats over and over and over again.
Driven to center field. Curtis Granderson back. He'll make the play. Good jump by Granderson. Ran it down.
Here's what Michael's talking about. You see Granderson at the top of your screen. The ball is hit a little bit to his right. He takes off almost immediately. He tracks it. And he's got it.
Here's Jeff Larish.
You know, the Tiger pitchers walked half as many batters as Mariano walked all last season. In the bottom of the first, they walked 6 batters. Mariano walked 12 all last year. Ooh, he didn't hit many guys either, but he did just there.
That is rare.
Little Cutter had a little extra move to it and got in on Jeff Larish, the left-handed hitter. Watch the glove. Targets in. Ball moves a little bit more than it should. Hits him in the knee. Here's another look, and Larish gets a free pass down to first base. And by the way, the year before, 2008, Mariano walked 6 batters all season. So the Tigers equaled that total in the bottom of the first.
Here's Alex Avila. 1-0. Boy, every Tiger average that comes up, they've had some spring at the plate. 14-10 record-wise.
The Tigers had a horrendous finish to the end of last year when they had a 3-game lead with 4 games to play. And Minnesota was able to tie them, and they had a 1-game playoff at the Metrodome, and they lost that one. They gave up 2 leads in that game. And the Twins went on to win the Central and the right to meet the Yankees or be swept by the Yankees in the division series. But Jimmy Leyland says that they've gotten over that now. It's a new season. Certainly was hard to get over for a period of time. The Tigers had a pretty good year last year. They won 86 games. They lost 77 in the Central. And they should be contenders again. I think the problem for them this spring is finding a 4th and 5th starter. They've
been heartened by the fact that Dontrelle Willis has pitched very well this spring. He had lost the plate for a number of years, but now not throwing as hard, but he's breaking pitches right around the plate. Nate Robertson pitched very well yesterday. So there are 3 guys battling for 2 spots.
Yeah, the top 3 spots are set. Verlander, as we mentioned, look at that record last year. Porcello, youngster from New Jersey, had a pretty good rookie season, 14 wins. Scherzer, that's what's Arizona, but he's a strikeout machine, 174 strikeouts in 170 innings.
Villa down looking. Now that's projected, but Dontrell Willis has pitched himself into the conversation, so it could be Bonderman or Robertson, or it could be Willis instead of one of those other two. Johnny Damon, though, will bat second, and Jim Leland has loved having Damon on the team. Felt that that was the missing piece for them. In yesterday's game, Johnny Damon had the beginnings of getting back to what he was with the Red Sox. He had a fairly full beard. It was, I mean, it was definitely going on his way to being full. But he shaved overnight, and here he is, clean shaven. Maybe he thinks he has to be here. If he's going to be here at Steinbrenner Field, he's got to be clean shaven.
I talked to him about that before the game, and he said, yeah, he cleaned up his act before he got here.
Have you seen Phil Koch this spring?
I talked to Phil briefly before the game.
He's got a big mop of hair and a little bit of a goatee working as well. The 2-0. 3-0. You can see Mariano not in mid-season form, not that sharp yet.
Wasn't happy with that last pitch. You can tell by the way he received the toss back from Posada.
And a strike. There's Damon yesterday. And today, all clean. And a count full at 3-2. That'll release Larish from first. Runner goes, and a ground ball to second. Mariano's going to have to cover. And they just get Santiago at first. Good play by Cano, good cover by Mariano. So you score that 4-1 to end the inning as Teixeira reigns to his right. Couldn't get the ball. Mariano quickly up the mound in a race with Santiago. And he receives a throw and just got there before Santiago. Nice play by Cano as we go to the bottom of the second. It's 6-0 Yankees.
When Motor Trend says you're good, you're good. But when they name the Ford Fusion 2010 Car of the Year, that means there is nothing better. Next step may be getting 0% financing or $2,000 cash back during the Leadership Sales Drive. That's 0% financing or $2,000 cash. Plus, with up to 34 miles per gallon, Fusion gets better gas mileage than both Camry and Acura. Or you can lease for only $189 a month. Ford Fusion, Car of the Year, Deal of the Century. The Leadership Sales Drive at your Tri-State Ford dealer.
It's the first time you're letting your daughter shop on her own. So here's your moment of truth, Mom. Which 3G network would you trust to run apps like Family Locator when it matters most? When you want your 3G network to work, you want Verizon. Upgrade your family now and get an LG Envy Touch. Or get this Samsung Alias for just $29.99, plus add a line for just $9.99. But hurry, offer ends March 31st. Families can connect for less at Verizon.
It's one of the best mid-size sports sedans in the world. If it's not, there are over 50 international awards we'd better give back. The Jaguar XF, the critically acclaimed result of a very different way of thinking.
Lease a 2010 XF for $599 at your tri-state area Jaguar dealer.
Today after the game, get a season preview with Yankees 2010 Pride, Power, and Pinstripes. Hear the latest from manager Joe Girardi, plus exclusive interviews including new Yankee Curtis Granderson and analysis from the Yes Network team. Yankees 2010 premieres today after the game. It's only on Yes. Alex Rodriguez takes a pitch inside. 1-0. Yankees lead 6-0. That one's lofted down the right field line. Ordonez there. 1 out.
A-Rod got it started with the 2-run single in the first inning. His average has jumped over the 300 mark this spring. And once you get to 300, So you really feel you have your act together. Swinging the bat well. I watched A-Rod and BP today. Pitches at different parts of the strike zone. He was hitting with authority all over the field. And including a couple he just jumped on and ran over the left field wall.
Pitch to Cano outside. Count 2-0. And we mentioned Andy Pettitte was supposed to start this game. And he's only pitched one game against another big league team, and that was in Clearwater against the Phillies. Actually pitched very well. And there's a Boston Red Sox advanced scout that has been following the Yankees for 3 weeks, preparing for that first series.
Yeah.
And he keeps asking people, well, when's Pettitte going to pitch? I don't understand. When's Pettitte going to pitch? I got to scout Pettitte.
Probably telling Fenway Park, third game of the season.
So somebody actually said to the guy, said, I'll give you the report. He's going to throw fastball, cutter, and a changeup. Nothing much has changed. He had a simulated game on March 7th. This is all because of rain, so he's been unable to get on the mound. March 12th, rained out against the Nationals, so he has a bullpen session of 50 pitches. March 17th, in Clearwater, 4 innings, 55 pitches, and then an intra-squad game on March 22nd, 5 innings. And he's supposed to pitch today, and he got washed out. The game's being played, but they didn't want to have him on the mound and have the game be rained out.
That March 12th game, weren't the Yankees en route to Vieira and they found out the game was canceled? They had to come all the way back.
Yep.
Then Andy threw here.
Well, I think the March 12th game though was scheduled for him to pitch here because they didn't want to make that long trip to Vieira.
Okay.
Swing and a miss.
For those of you who do not, Vieira, where the Washington Nationals train, is on the East Coast of Florida.
And it's also one of the hosts of the Today Show. Meredith.
It's right. Yeah. It's right next to Meredith.
Right. You know, I am somewhat curious how that will affect Andy Pettitte if the Yankees are worried if the lack of game action will affect him. And we asked pitching coach Dave Island a little earlier if that's going to have any effect. And here's what Dave had to say.
No, not at all. You know, Andy's a veteran guy. If it's going to happen to anybody, it's good that it happens to him. But he's been getting his work in. He hasn't missed a day. He's got his pitch count up, whether it be in simulated games or inter-squad games. He's right where he needs to be. He's feeling good. The ball's coming out of his hand well, so there's no concern.
That seems to be the general thought, Kenny, is because he's a veteran, he knows how to do this. And I talked to Joe Jordy about it. I said, but he's not throwing with the same effort in a simulated game or a bullpen session. He said, but he's not going to throw with the same effort even in a game down here that he would throw against the Red Sox in that third game.
You know, that is true to a certain extent. I think for a veteran pitcher or a veteran player who's already, he's going to make the team. There's no doubt about it. I think for players who are trying to make the team, it's a totally different situation. They are trying to impress. Andy Pettitte, I bet you his spring ERAs over the year are not nearly as good as his regular season ERAs or his production. So whether he throws in a real game or throws on the side, it should work out for him.
The 0-1. Count 0-2 on Curtis Granderson. We're in the second inning here on a rainy day in Tampa. Stark contrast to yesterday, which was probably the best weather of the spring. About 79 degrees in Lakeland, not a cloud in the sky. The 0-2. Count 1-2. Right back to Weinhardt, and he gets Curtis Granderson to the final out of the second. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left. We play two here in Tampa. It's 6-0 Yankees on Yes.
When we built our first hybrid, YouTube didn't exist, and Facebook was still run out of a dorm room. When we built our first hybrid, more people had landlines than cell phones. and gas was $1.75 a gallon. And now, while other luxury car makers are building their first hybrids, Lexus hybrids have traveled 5.5 billion miles. And that's quite a head start.
And if you go with us, it'll be a win-win.
Certainly will.
I think this could be a win-win.
Maybe.
This is gonna be a win-win. Win-win.
A what? A win-win!
You should say win-win. Use a hyphen. You know what this is?
A win-win?
A home run.
That's my next guess.
Win-win. Win-win.
Drink?
Man, this trip was great. I mean, I'm just, pumped.
We know why you fly. We're American Airlines.
Thanks to Buick's quiet tuning process and the efficiency of our standard V6 engine, this moment of solitude can be brought to you for up to 460 uninterrupted highway miles, courtesy of the all-new Buick LaCrosse. It's the new class of world class.
Now lease a 2010 Buick LaCrosse CX for just $359 per month. See dealer for details. See your local Buick dealer.
The Sunday Daily News is celebrating modern Yankee heroes with great commemorative magazines. Each Sunday, get a big, full-color magazine of a Yankee hero, packed with extraordinary action shots, career highlights, and stats, plus a player poster. This Sunday, get Burn, Baby Burn, Bernie Williams. Yours free only in the Sunday Daily News.
Austin Jackson, Yankee farmhand, highly thought of, went over to Detroit in that three-way deal with the Diamondbacks and the Yankees that sent Curtis Granderson to the Yankees, and he has been a revelation for the Tigers this spring. Before the game, Tiger manager Jim Leyland talked about the guy that's going to play center field and lead off for his team.
Well, you know, he's a young player. We're going to give him an opportunity to play center field and lead off for us, and it's going to take some time. You know, there's going to be some growing pains, but he's got a lot of ability. He can run, he can throw, he's a very good defender, and nobody knows for sure if people are going to hit.
Well, so far he has hit this spring, and what they've liked is there haven't been as many swings and misses as there had been on his record in the minor leagues. He's patient, and he makes contact, and he plays a good center field, so we'll see what Austin Jackson does. New pitcher for the Yankees, Boone Logan. And he is greeted with a line drive to center field that's snared by Granderson. So Granderson, who came to the Yankees in the deal that sent Jackson to the Tigers, takes away a base hit.
Yeah, what's also unusual, they both have the same number. They're each wearing 14. Although that had been worked out before the season. This is a solid line drive, but Granderson comes on, slides on the wet grass, and makes the catch for out number one. Here's another look at it.
Well, Granderson's number with the Tigers was 28. And that number is being worn by Joe Girardi this year as the end game for the Yankees, their 28th championship. Last year he wore 27, and they got their 27th title, and this year he switched to 28. That's what Boone Logan has done in spring training. He's trying to stick as the second lefty in the Yankee bullpen.
We already saw the first one, DeMarco Marte.
I was thinking about the ascension of numbers that Girardi has started to do. You know, a couple of years they win a couple more championships. He's landlocked because 32 is Elston Howard's number, and that's retired forever. He can never get 32.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about Casey Stengel and Miller Huggins, all the great Yankee managers. If they had, Joe McCarthy, if they had changed their numbers.
Right.
Casey started with 37. Would he end with 50? Or
the 2-1. Joe Torre won 4 championships. He would have gone from 6 to 10.
Well, 10's retired too. It's school.
But you couldn't do it, though.
Yeah, he couldn't get past Maris.
Right, also.
Mantle and Berra.
That's right. But you don't go up from one number to the next. You're trying to get to the number that the Yankees are trying to reach. So that's the way it works. But I see what you're saying. Rain really starting to fall. You can hear it pelting on our crowd mic. Sounds like sizzling bacon.
Getting hungry, Mike?
I love bacon. The 3-2. Grounded to Jeter. Nice hop.
What a nice BLT.
had that today, or are you going to?
Now I am after this game's over.
So Damon is 1 for 2 in his return to Tampa. Single to center in the first and then grounds to short.
Here's a player, Magglio Ordonez. The Tigers are hoping gets off to a better start than he did last year. He's having a great spring. Hitting 349, a couple home runs, 8 RBIs, but he got off to a very slow start last year. And they were talking about his plate appearances. Was that the deal?
Yeah.
If he didn't get so many plate appearances, his option would not kick in automatically. And they actually benched him for a while, and the thought was they were doing it because they didn't want him to reach that number of plate appearances. Well, he did. He's back. And in the second half of the season, he really hit well. He hit 375 after the All-Star break. But he only finished with 9 home runs and 50 runs batted in. Here's a guy who's driven over 100 runs in seasons, and the Tigers would like to see that type of production.
And it did tell you one thing, Kenny, that Jim Leland is running this team,
Yeah.
and he's not taking any direction from the front office because Magglio Ordonez is making $18 million this year. I don't know if he's an $18 million player. And when he benched him, you know, people were saying, well, he was benching him because the organization said we don't want to have that option. But he said, I'm benching him because he's not hitting. Then when he started to hit, he played him every day, and he did kick in the number, and he's making $18 million this year.
Well, you should get more than 50 runs batted in for $18 million. That's my point.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But as you said, he did hit well in the second half, but he started off miserably, which is the reason that Leland sat him down, not because of the contract. And Leland said, listen, if this guy can help me win, I'm going to play him. I don't care about the contract. That's not my concern. 2-2.
He did finish the season hitting 310. That's no swing. And the count runs to 3-2. But he finished the season hitting at 310, which is more than respectable. But the power production numbers were not there. You hit 375 after the All-Star break, you're going to get a boost in your batting average.
Three-two. Rounded sharply but foul. Boy, you'd think that you'd be sweating though. I got to get that number to get to 18 million because you know if he was a free agent on the market, he's not getting half that.
He's not getting 18 million. You're right.
I mean, Johnny Damon had a better year than Ordonez did, and he took a pay cut from what he made last year, from 13 million to 8 million. Three-two. Rounded to second. Right there is Cano, and a nice easy 1-2-3 inning for Boone Logan and the Yankees as the Tigers go down in order. We go to the bottom of the third. It's all Yankees, 6-0. You are watching Yes.
It's not.
Hey, Yes would like to give a shout out to the grounds crew here at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa for doing a spectacular job creating the finest major league conditions throughout spring training under head groundskeeper Richie Anderson. They're doing the job now on that mound under the watchful gaze of Jim Leland. Remember, for everything your lawn needs this weekend, head to the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Now, Kenny, whenever I'm confused, I come to you. Okay, so they don't start Max Scherzer.
You shouldn't rely on that, though.
But you know what? I feel comfortable doing it.
Okay.
They don't start Scherzer because of the impending rain. Well, now it's a wet mound that they have the doctor to keep okay, and now they bring in Scherzer in the third inning. What gives?
Maybe he's been throwing underneath in the bullpen for a few innings, and you know, which they would simulate a couple of innings, and now they're going to bring him in to sort of like throw one inning and finish it off. You understand what I mean?
Right.
All right. Maybe that's what I'm speculating. Maybe he's been throwing. Andy Pettit looks like he's coming in too. So maybe they've been throwing underneath, and now they're going to come over and top it off by throwing to live hitters.
Well, we'll have on Joe Girardi in the top of the fifth inning.
We'll find out.
And we'll find out. We'll ask him exactly why. You got a scouting report on Max.
Well, he was supposed to be at the beginning of the game. He brings heat from Arizona. Last year with the Diamondbacks, he struck out 174 batters in 170 innings. And he was a Tiger before Detroit. He actually pitched for the University of Missouri. And he's got a very good slider to go along with that high 90s fastball. This is going to be their number 3 guy in the rotation.
Nick Swisher against Scherzer. And Swisher knows he's going to get some heat right here. Rain continues to fall. 93 miles an hour low. Kenny, yesterday Joel Zumaya pitched, and he was dealing.
Bringing fire?
98, 99, 3 strikeouts.
They're just hoping he could be healthy and they're able to put him in ball games. I mean, he's had shoulder problems. He's had elbow problems. He had a torn tendon in a finger. And here's a guy who throws 100 miles an hour. And the Tigers missed him sorely during the course of last year. This is the 8th walk the Yankees have gotten in this game.
And the second for Nick Swisher. And here's Brett Gardner.
Now, what impressed you about Zumaya? Just the fact that he's throwing heat?
Yes, like 98, 99, and on the black as well. That one's chopped back to the mound. Going to be a tough play, and they get the speedy Gardner for the first out. Scherzer threw a fastball over to Larish as Swisher moves to second.
Scherzer took a look at second to see if he had a chance of getting Swisher. And he does a quick spin-a-rama and decides to throw to first base. Here's a look at second. Nah. Might have had time. And with Gardner going down the line, it's never an easy out at first base, even though you might think so. But he's got to get this over there in a hurry to Larish.
You think he had to play at second?
He might have. You know, it's been a bang. You get the lead runner, but get the lead out.
Here's Derek Jeter, single and a walk in the first inning.
There's that slider, which Scherzer can actually throw upwards of high 80s, 88, 89.
You know, we mentioned that the grounds crew does such a good job, and you know, you could put the drying agent on the mound. I'm just surprised that you're going to throw your number 3 starter out there, and the Yankees, the same deal. Andy Pettit looks like he's about to come in. You slip on a mound like that.
Groin problem?
Absolutely. I'm really, really stunned.
Well, it's actually raining harder now than it was at the beginning of the game. You know, one thing about the ground crew here at Steinbrenner Field, they are not only responsible for this field, they're responsible for all the fields around this complex. You know, Yankee Stadium, beautiful field, one field to take care of.
Count 2-2.
Now this is the hardest it has been raining since the rain actually began to fall. So it'd be interesting to see if the Yankees actually change their mind on Andy Pettit. It looks as though he finished warming up.
Jeter swings and misses. 2 away.
Let's take a look at that last pitch. Fastball, slider, what is it? Might have been a changeup. And that picked up the strikeout. You can see Jeter well out in front, pitched it dove out of the zone. And Derek is now 1 for 2 with a walk.
Runner at second with 2 outs, and here's Nick Johnson. Swisher at second. And a strike.
Nick Johnson, in a lot of ways, reminds me of Bobby Abreu in his approach at the plate. Hardly ever swings at the first pitch. He might get to a point late in the ball game where a pitcher thinks that, well, I'll just lay this one in, he's going to take it, and then he'll jump on it. But it has such a great knowledge of the strike zone. And how this actually helps the hitters behind him. Not only does he run up counts, but he gives the hitters behind him, such as Teixeira, a good chance to look over what the pitcher's doing and what's working and what's not working.
Popped up, left side. Wynn takes it back, and that is a fair ball. No, the umpires, oh, he's going to say it's a double, and a run does score. Because in working with only 3 umpires, we had to find the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, who had to make the call from home plate. So it fell and then bounced into the seats. So Nick Johnson gets a double, and the Yankees lead 7-0.
Well, between the 3 fielders, Lugac, Guillen, and Santiago, nobody can get to it. And Santiago had to go a ways because of the fact he was a left-handed hitter, was at the plate. So Lugac actually had the best chance, and he can't come up with it. And then they had insult to injury. Lugac stepped on Santiago.
Or to add injury to insult. Pitches inside to Teixeira.
Let's see. Here's where the ball is drifting back into fair territory, and yep, it's a fair ball.
The 1-0. Count 2-0.
You know, one thing about the Tigers' outfield defense, Austin Jackson's going to have to cover a lot of ground. I mean, Carlos Guillen's had knee problems over the years, and so has Maglio Ordonez. So that puts a lot of pressure in a big outfield at Comerica Park.
And Damon.
If Damon gets out there too, yeah. Well, he's not out there today, but
right. But
yeah.
I mean, once the regular season starts, Johnny is, his days of being a very good outfielder, they're past. He's probably below average now. So yeah, Austin Jackson's going to get a lot of running in. 420 to dead center field at Comerica Park. Count 2-2. Well, the Yankee coaches have an aversion to the rain. Only Kevin Long remains on the seat outside the dugout. Everybody else scurried back into the dugout.
His hitters are up. It'll be interesting to see if he's still there when the Tigers are hitting. I would venture to say no.
The 2-2. Foul down the right field line. Dave Island and Joe Girardi undercover. Even Richard Gere went back into the dugout. Got a new movie out, Brooklyn's Finest.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it yet. I'm trying to make time for Hot Tub Time Machine.
Tonight might be the night.
His wife, Carrie Lowell, has also said, see ya. The 2-2. On one hop to the second baseman, Rayburn. And that'll do it. But the Yankees get another run on one hit. No errors and 1 man left. We've played 3. It's 7-0 Yankees over the Tigers.
We all know Haiti was hit by a devastating earthquake.
Tens of thousands of Haitians have died, and that number is rising.
We don't have time to sit around and talk about what we can do to help.
You can help by donating today.
Change the way you feel about moving with one call to DirecTV. Then experience our award-winning customer satisfaction, including free professional installation at your new home, a free DVR or HD receiver upgrade. Plus, ask about getting 21 of the best movie channels free for 3 months. It all adds up to over $200 in additional savings. The 5-Star Movers Connection. Compliments of DirecTV.
For 500 years, Koreans have been practicing a unique heat therapy. This historical therapy was revealed by the 12 different types of saunas to release your daily fatigues and to restore yourself. Refresh your body and mind with the heat of a 500-year-old tradition. King Spa and Fitness.
Kyle!
What's up, Mom?
You went on a 29,000-mile joyride in my brand new BMW?
Mom, it's pre-owned.
But your father said it was new.
Yeah, new as in you didn't have it before.
Looks like new, performs like new. And with a warranty for up to 6 years or 100,000 miles, it's hard to believe it's pre-owned.
Wait till your father hears about this.
He knows all about it.
On the Audi scoreboard as we go to the fourth inning, the Yankees lead 7-0 on a rainy Sunday here in Tampa. Now, Andy Pettitte was supposed to start. They scratched him. They started Damaso Marte. He pitched the first. Mariano Rivera pitched the second. Boone Logan the third. And now Andy Pettitte is out on a wet mound. And he will get a couple of innings in, I guess. If he doesn't get enough in, he'll throw underneath. That's what he did last year.
Another good season for Andy Pettitte. 14-8, 4.16. Here's our scouting report. Andy and Mo, that's the way to go. Mariano Rivera has saved more games for Andy Pettitte than any other reliever has saved for any other pitcher in Major League history, 63 times. Ford and Ruffing, only 2 pitchers in Yankee history have more wins than Andy Pettitte, and Ford and Guidry. Only 2 pitchers have more strikeouts in Yankee history than Andy Pettitte.
Today, if you want to go with the rhyme, though, Kenny, it's going to be Mo and Andy, and that's just Andy.
Yeah.
Because Pettitte's coming in for Mo.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Swing and a miss, and the count 0-2.
I knew you were thinking something. We should have changed the scouting report.
No, it worked that way. It was beautiful. Rayburn walked in the first inning against Marte, and the veteran left-hander Pettitte deals outside. Pitch inside. You know, Andy is working year to year now. And he said that he's not going to hang around to try to get 300 wins or anything like that. And there's that pull that he wants to be with his family. But now, as he gets Rayburn looking, Kenny, his sons are at the age where they enjoy that their father is a pitcher for the Yankees. So he's kind of torn. Do I go back home to Houston and not pitch? Or, you know, he pitched so well last year. That would have been the perfect way to end it, being on the mound for the World Series clincher. You see what he's done in his career. You know, the bottom line is he can still pitch, Kenny. Why give it up?
Yeah, he can get people out and with regularity. And it certainly adds a veteran presence to the Yankee rotation. That was a nice sequence of pitches to Rayburn there. How one pitch sets up the next one, including the call strike 3. The previous pitch to that had been a cutter in. Then he hits the outside corner to strike him out. Just moving the ball around, hitting his spots.
Count 2-0. I was talking with Andy earlier in the spring. Remember when the Yankees won the World Series and they had the podium out in center field and the players spoke, and Mariano Rivera said, I want to play 5 more years. And everybody took it as a joke. And Andy was talking about it, kind of shaking his head. He said, yeah, I can't believe he said that. He said, but you know what? He probably could. And then A.J. Burnett was eavesdropping. He said he definitely could. He said if he wants to pitch 5 more years with his motion, he can. But Andy said, I'm not going to be around 5 more years. Here's Lugach. Yankee defense straight away.
Well, Andy, although the fact is that he hasn't had much in the way of opportunity to pitch in regular spring training games, doesn't seem to be bothering his control. He's jumped ahead. Well, he fell behind one hitter, but he got him out on the ground ball the second. I would venture to say that Joe Girardi and Richard Gere are happy with what they're seeing from Andy Pettitte today.
And also, you predicted correctly, Kenny. Kevin Long, now that the hitters are not hitting, he is off the outside chairs as well. The 0-2. 1-2. The best seats in the house are empty.
Is that thunder I just heard?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Are you going to pull a Phil Rizzuto on me and leave?
Get across the causeway instead of the George Washington Bridge.
Ground ball up the middle. Jeter spears it, fires off balance. And Andy Pettitte works a 1, 2, 3, 4th inning as the Tigers go down in order. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Yankees leading 7-0. Derek Jeter showing some range up the middle. And he takes a base hit away. Gets a nice little hop right at the end, and then the off-balance throw. Hey, tomorrow night on Yes, Tim Duncan and the Spurs come to the Izod Center to take on the Nets. Complete coverage starts at 7 with the Nets pregame. Then Ryan Eagle and Mike Fratello have the courtside call. Spurs and the Nets tomorrow night at 7. It's only on Yes. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Yankees leading 7-0, and Alex Rodriguez leads off against Max Scherzer. And he takes a strike. The Audi scoreboard shows 7-4-0 and 0-1-0. The 4 doesn't show that the Yankees have also worked 8 walks. Count 1-1. Alex Rodriguez with an RBI, really a 2-run single in the 1st inning. And then he had a fly ball right in the 2nd. Fouled away. The 1-2. 2-2. The lights have been on since the first pitch here at Steinbrenner Field. And the count 3-0. It's just been a miserable day here in Tampa, and more of the same again tomorrow, they said. Rain all day. And then the weather should clear. The 3-2. And Rodriguez works a walk.
Yankees have gotten at least 1 walk in each inning.
And Alex Rodriguez's day is over as he gets 3 plate appearances.
How about a dedicated hitting coach?
He's back out there,
back
Kevin Long.
In the rain.
Pitch outside to Robinson Cano. Eduardo Nunez pinch running for Alex Rodriguez. That one is driven deep to left center field. Giving chase, Austin Jackson. He's on the run. He can't make the play. He'll play it on the wall. Nunez gets hung up. There are 2 guys at second base. Did he make the catch?
He did not make the catch.
He did not make the catch.
Nunez thought he made the catch.
Nunez thought he made the catch, and he has crossed the base runner, so he is going to be out. Nunez pulled a rock there. He thought he had made the catch. Now, Robinson Cano is standing on second.
Cano is, if he stays in second, he'll be fine. He's going to have himself a day. Nunez is going to be out for running the bases the wrong way and passing Robinson Cano.
They both stood at second base. Nunez could not believe. I guess he didn't even see Cano there.
He ran right by him.
Ran right by him. Remember, there are 3 umpires working today, so you'll see Nunez here.
Ball's hit to the gap. Jackson does not make the catch. Nunez rounds second on his way. He thinks he caught the ball now. See the umpire with his hand up in the air? Umpire called the out, but I don't think he caught the ball.
So the umpire confused Nunez because his hand was up in the air, is what you're saying, Ken?
When I saw the replay, then I saw the umpire with a hand up in the air like there was an out.
You'll see he does not make the catch.
He does not catch the ball. The ball's up against the wall. He does come up with it quickly, gets it back in.
Now, one thing that you have in spring training is you have those white boards and the white advertisements, and it does blend in, so it's hard for a player that's running to see exactly what happened. And if the umpire has his hand up in the air, well, that's signaling that the out was made.
No, let's see what they do here.
Now they're going to put Nunez at second.
And Cano at first.
So they're saying that the umpire actually fouled up by putting his hand up in the air.
And they're going to try and return to normalcy, but in every way, shape, and form, that's a two-base hit.
Well, we're not.
They're going to call Cano out.
No, Cano's not out. They're sending a pinch runner.
Oh, okay, all right.
So Cano has a double turned into a single.
And Reggie Corona is going to run it first. Watch the umpire, who I believe is Marty Foster. Now watch there it is right there. That's the hand up in the air saying an out. And Nunez takes a look at him and starts back for first base. So they tried to right the wrong. I'm not sure which umpire it was because we only have 3 umpires today.
Very odd. So Eduardo Nunez actually has to feel better about himself right now because he actually made the right move seeing the umpire's arm up in the air. Because he's saying to himself, even if his eyes see that the ball dropped, the umpire is signaling out, he has to proceed that way.
You know what? I think if this is a regular season, Jimmy Leyland would still be out there arguing.
Ice cold Bud Light here.
Time was called by Posada. That's the smile of a kid who goes, wow. Thank you, thank you. He came from across the street at the Yankee minor league complex. Yankees need extra players for the game. It's raining. They're not going to have their regulars play that long.
You know, with the way it's raining now, this game might not be long.
High fly ball, left center field. Guillen makes the play. Tagging is Nunez. He'll go to third. Well, Kenny, one thing I think they want to do is they want to get in the top of the 5th inning because that makes the game official game, and also, you know, it costs a lot of money to rain games on spring training because there's nowhere to make them up, and it's a total loss to the team.
They have to refund the money.
Yep. Anderson fouls it away.
You know, I wonder where Nunez is going. You're right about the white signs, though. If you look at the signs on most of minor league ballparks, they have advertising, and even in big league ballparks. But you'll see every once in a while a ball get lost in the signs, and that's exactly what happened.
Now a brave soul has joined Kevin Long on the outside bench. I'm trying to see who that is.
It's
Alex.
Brett Gardner and Alex.
Alex is out of the game, too, and he's deciding to sit there. Long looks like he's about to eat lobster, doesn't he?
The only thing missing is the advertising on the bib.
Alex Rodriguez has decided to head back into the dugout with Brett Gardner, who's actually in the hole. Nick Swisher's on deck, and then Brett Gardner's after him. So you can see why he's sitting out there. High fly ball, left center field, giving chase Austin Jackson, and he makes the play.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. So is the ump. Nunez tags and scores, and the Yankees lead 8-0.
Granderson's been hitting the ball much, much better lately. We told you his average is getting up near the 300 mark, but Nunez, under different circumstances, might have been in the dugout a lot earlier, but scores a run. And here's Granderson.
And now the umpires are saying, hey, listen, it's raining too hard, and they are going to pull the teams off the field. And it was the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher, who said, that's it, that's enough. I guess what they're saying, and if you look at the infield right now, the skin of the infield is wet. It's kind of got a shine to it, which means that it's going to get slippery. And the last thing you want is to see anybody hurt, even a minor leaguer. I mean, those guys have futures too. You don't want to see them get hurt. So the umpires have decided that that's going to do it. But they haven't called the game yet. It looks as if the grounds crew is ready to put on the tarp. They're just waiting to see if the umps want them to put the tarp on or if it's called. So it's coming down pretty hard here in Tampa. They're going to cover up the mound first.
Years ago, I was doing a game in spring training, and it was raining even heavier than this, but they tried to get the top half of the fifth inning in, and it was raining so hard that the center field camera, when it took a shot of the home plate area, you could not see home plate, and they kept right on playing. And Larry Poncino was the home plate umpire who wouldn't call the game, and from that point on, he was known as Larry's Pontoons Poncino.
Well, the grounds crew here at Steinbrenner Field will put the tarp on. We'll take a brief timeout. Hopefully, we'll have more baseball for you. Right now, the Yankees lead 8-0. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning with 2 outs.